The rain was coming down so hard it looked like the sky had torn open in grief, and Daniel Harper could still hear the woman screaming when his phone buzzed with the notification that would change his life forever. He stood in the middle of the flooded intersection, soaked to the bone, his hands trembling as he pressed a wad of napkins against a stranger's bleeding forehead. Traffic lights flickered above like exhausted stars. A silver SUV sat at an awkward angle against a bent streetlight, steam rising from its crumpled hood. The smell of burned rubber and gasoline mixed with rain and coppery blood. "Stay with me," Daniel whispered, though his own voice sounded distant, swallowed by sirens in the distance. "You're going to be okay." The woman blinked slowly. Her mascara had streaked down her cheeks. Raindrops clung to her eyelashes. She didn't look like someone who belonged on this side of town, not in this storm, not alone. Her coat was expensive, tailored. Her heels, one was missing, probably thrown somewhere into the night when the airbag deployed. Daniel's phone vibrated again. 8:37 a.m. He was supposed to clock in at 8:30 sharp. 3 late arrivals meant termination. That was the rule at Ashford Industrial Supply. No exceptions, not even for single fathers who already used up every ounce of goodwill the company pretended to have. Have you ever felt that moment when your life splits in two? When you know that whatever you choose, something important will break. He looked down at the woman. She was shivering now. "I can't feel my fingers," she whispered. "You're in shock," Daniel said. He slipped off his own jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders, even though the cold immediately bit into his skin. "The ambulance is coming. Just focus on my voice." His phone rang this time. It was his supervisor. Daniel closed his eyes for half a second before answering. "Harper," came the sharp voice of Mr. Calloway. No greeting, no humanity. "Where are you?" Daniel swallowed. The rain trickled down his neck. "There's been an accident. I stopped to help." "You're late." "Yes, sir, but she's bleeding in." "You've already had 2 warnings this quarter. Company policy is clear." Sirens grew louder. Daniel's grip tightened on the phone. "I can't just leave her." A pause. Then coldly. "Then don't bother coming in." The line went dead. For a moment, the only sound was the storm and the woman's uneven breathing. Daniel felt something crack inside his chest. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet breaking. The kind that happens when you've already been stretched too thin for too long. He had rent due in 5 days. His daughter Lily needed asthma medication refilled. The daycare payment was already late. And now he had nothing. But he didn't move, because the woman's hand had found his wrist. Her grip was weak, but desperate. "Don't go," she murmured. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, even as his entire future seemed to dissolve in the rain. The ambulance arrived minutes later. Paramedics rushed in, their movements efficient and urgent. Daniel stepped back only when they insisted. "Are you family?" one asked. "No," he said, "just someone who stopped." They loaded her onto a stretcher. Just before they closed the ambulance doors, her eyes found his again. There was something in that look. Not just gratitude, something sharper, observant, as if she was memorizing him. Then she was gone. Daniel stood alone in the rain long after the ambulance disappeared. Cars began to inch around the wreckage. The city resumed its indifference. He looked at his phone. Termination notice, HR department. Just like that, he laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Only disbelief. What would you have done? Left her there to keep your job? Walked past the blood and broken glass because rent was due? He drove home in silence. Lily was sitting at the small kitchen table when he opened the apartment door. She was 7 years old, with tangled brown curls and wide eyes that always seemed too wise for her age. "Daddy, you're wet," she said immediately. He forced a smile. "Got caught in the rain." She studied him. "Kids always know, don't they? When something is wrong." "Did you save someone?" she asked. His breath caught. "How did you? You look like you did." He knelt in front of her and pulled her into his arms. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and the oatmeal she had for breakfast. "I tried," he said quietly. That night, after Lily fell asleep clutching her inhaler beside her pillow, Daniel sat on the couch in the dark. The apartment hummed with the sound of old wiring and distant traffic. He opened his email again, rereading the termination message as if it might change. It didn't. He thought about calling Calloway back. Begging. Explaining. But pride held him still. He had already begged once before, after his wife, Megan, left 3 years ago. After the hospital bills from Lily's premature birth stacked up. After he nearly lost the apartment the first time. There is a certain exhaustion that comes from constantly fighting just to survive. And he was so tired. The next morning, he started making calls. Construction sites, warehouses, delivery companies, were not hiring. You're overqualified. Your last employer terminated you. Each rejection felt heavier than the last. By noon, his savings account showed $312.47. Rent was $1,100. He picked Lily up from school with a smile he practiced in the rearview mirror. "How was your day?" he asked. "I drew a picture of us," she said. "You're a superhero." His throat tightened. "Am I?" "Yeah, you always help people." He looked away before she could see his eyes fill. That night, he skipped dinner so she could have seconds. The following week passed in a blur of job applications and quiet panic. The landlord left a voicemail reminder. The daycare sent a final notice. And then, on Friday afternoon, his phone rang from an unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Hello, is this Daniel Harper?" "Yes, this is Margaret Ellison's office. She'd like to meet with you tomorrow morning." He frowned. "I'm sorry, who?" A pause. "Ms. Ellison, the woman you assisted during last week's accident." Daniel's mind replayed the rain, the blood, the flashing lights. "She's okay, she's recovering, and she insists on seeing you." He hesitated. "Why?" "I believe she prefers to explain in person." The call ended before he could ask anything else. Margaret Ellison. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. The address they sent was downtown, far from his neighborhood. A towering glass building he'd only seen from a distance. The next morning, he borrowed his neighbor's iron to press his only suit. Lily watched him from the doorway. "Are you going to a job interview?" she asked. "Maybe," he said, "or maybe I'm just saying thank you properly." He dropped her at his sister's house and drove downtown with a nervous energy buzzing beneath his skin. The building loomed above him like something from another world. Polished steel, reflective windows, security at the entrance. Inside, everything smelled like money, clean marble floors, subtle perfume, quiet confidence. At the reception desk, he gave his name. The woman behind the desk stiffened almost imperceptibly. "One moment," she made a call. Her tone changed. "Yes, he's here." A man in a tailored suit approached moments later. "Mr. Harper," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Thomas Reed, Ms. Ellison's chief of staff." Daniel shook it, acutely aware of the calluses on his own palm. They stepped into a private elevator. As it ascended, Daniel noticed the company logo etched into the steel walls. Ashford Global Holdings. His breath stopped. Ashford, as in Ashford Industrial Supply. As in the parent corporation. As in the company that fired him. He turned slowly toward Thomas. "This building belongs to..." "Yes," Thomas replied calmly. "Ms. Margaret Ellison is the CEO." The air felt thin. "You mean, the woman from the accident?" Thomas gave a small nod. "The billionaire boss," he said. Daniel felt the floor tilt beneath him. The elevator doors opened into a sprawling executive floor bathed in sunlight. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Everything was quiet, controlled. At the far end stood a woman by the glass, her arm in a sling. Her hair was pulled back neatly now. No rain, no blood, just composure and power. She turned when she heard his footsteps. Her gaze locked onto his. And this time, he recognized it immediately. The same sharp, observant look from the ambulance. "Mr. Harper," she said softly. "You chose to stay." Silence stretched between them. Daniel felt suddenly exposed, as though she could see every unpaid bill, every sleepless night, every sacrifice etched into his bones. "I couldn't leave you," he said simply. Her eyes flickered. "Even though it cost you your job." His heart pounded. "You know about that." "I know everything about my companies," she replied evenly. He swallowed. "So this is what? An apology?" Her lips curved faintly, but there was no amusement in her eyes. "No," she said, "this is something much bigger." She stepped closer. "Do you have any idea what would have happened if you hadn't